Embodiment and Cognitive Science. Introduction. Embodiment in the field of cognitive science refers to understanding the role of an agent's own body in its everyday situated cognition. For example, how do our bodies influence the way we think and speak? Consider the following narrative written by a 23 years old woman, Sandra, who was asked to describe a recent important life event. Sandra began her narrative by noting that she was engaged to be married to an older man who worked in the computer industry in Northern California. Quite recently, Sandra's fiancé asked her to sign a prenuptial agreement, and this request evoked many feelings that Sandra struggled to deal with. I know that I should be so naive about these sort of things, but when he presented me with a draft of the agreement, I was so formal and legal and felt so cold to me, I just broke down and cried. I simply couldn't stand to see our future relationship be reduced to a question of money. It seems like Barry didn't trust me, or that he lacked faith in our future. I had always thought that we were in this together, going forward as partners, and as we started dating, got serious, then engaged, and hopefully soon married. Now my parents want me to consult with a lawyer to ensure I don't get screwed by the prenup. I'm trying hard to find the right balance between understanding Barry's needs to protect himself and my own needs for emotional security. I'm trying to be flexible about the whole thing. I love Barry and I know he loves me, and I wish that the feelings of love would be enough to sustain us through anything. But the idea of getting divorced even before we have married makes me ill. Everyone tells me that I'll get over this, and that's going me prenup is probably the right thing to do. That may be so. The wedding is in August. Hopefully by that time I will be mellow about that we're going through right now. This narrative is not particularly remarkable in terms of how Sandra describes her recent experience. However, a closer look at what it says reveals how various embodiment experiences help structure the narrative. For example, Sandra commented early on that I could stand to see our future relationship reduced to questions of money, referring to the physical experience of standing or failing to remain standing, to describe how they felt about her relationship becoming so centered on money issues. Later on, Sandra said, I had always thought that we were in this together, going forward as partners, as we started dating, got serious, then engaged, and hopefully soon married. At this moment, Sandra clearly talked of her relationship in terms of being physically together with her boyfriend, and they started out on a journey beginning when they first began dating. So traveling to the point of getting serious, and then moving forward along a path forward toward the eventual destination of marriage. Sandra also noted the struggle to find the right balance between understanding Barry's needs to protect himself and my own needs for emotional security. This emotional experience is referred to metaphorically as if Sandra were physically balancing two opposing ways while trying to remain upright. As she worked to come to terms with her fiancé's request for a prenuptial agreement, Sandra was trying to be flexible about the whole thing, again showing that she is conceptualizing her emotional experience as if her body must adjust to remain flexible in order to not be injured when confronted with physical burdens. Finally, Sandra hoped for her wedding that by that time I will mellow about that we're going through right now, referring to the physical obstacles that she and her fiancé were struggling to overcome along the path of their relationship journey. Sandra's narrative illustrates how the ways we think about our experience may be shaped by embodiment. She especially talked of her mental emotional experience in terms of securing patterns of embodied action, staying, being flexible, movement along path toward goals, remaining balanced. Sandra was likely not conscious of the embodied character of her words, and readers probably do not think of her emotional experience as specific embodiment actions. Yet Sandra's description of her emotional experience in terms of embodiment action is not a linguistic accident, but demonstrates how embodiment provides the foundation for how people interpret their lives and the world around them. What must a body be like for it to support cognition, language, and consciousness? Did Sandra's embodiment experience shape the way they thought about particular topics, or did she merely talk that way? One of the traditional beliefs in the cognitive science is that intelligent behavior, including the ability to perceive, think, and use language, needs to arise from any specific bodily form. Thermostats, computers, robots, and brains in vats may all, under the right circumstances, exhibit sophisticated cognitive skills. Under this view, cognitive systems are best characterized in terms of the functional states, their logical and computational processes, without concern for how these states are physically realized. As human brains, silicon chips, or robots, the building materials that shape the contents of mental life simply do not matter. Minds may be realized in flesh, silicon, or even cream cheese. Putnam 75. To be in a specific mental state is simply to be in a physical device of whatever type satisfies a specific formal function description. This traditional conception of mind and body has imposed serious limitations of the scholarly study of mental life in cognitive science, although psychologists and others readily admit that much knowledge is derived from sensory perception. Few scholars until recently have emphasized the importance of kinetic action in theoretical accounts of how people perceive, learn, think, experience emotions and consciousness, and use language. This book advances the idea that the traditional disembodiment view of mind is mistaken, because human cognition is fundamentally shaped by embodiment experience. The aim is to describe the way in which many aspects of cognition are grounded in embodiment, especially in terms of the phenomenological experience of our bodies in action. Embodiment may not provide a single foundation for all thoughts and language, but is an essential part of the perceptual of cognitive processes by which we make sense of all experiences in the world. Why has cognitive science been so neglectful of embodiment in construction theories of perception, cognition, and language? The denial of the body is in consideration of human thought has been part of Western intellectual tradition since the time of ancient Greeks. Perhaps the best voice of his early view was Plato, as shown in the following dialogue from the Phaedo. All these considerations, says Socrates, must surely prompt seriously philosophers to review the position in some such as why is this? So long as we keep the body and our soul contaminated with this imperfection, there is no chance of our ever attaining satisfactorily to our object, which we assert to be true. The body fills us with loves and desires and fears and all sorts of nonsense, with the result that we literally never get an opportunity to think at all about anything. That is why, on all these accounts, we have so little time for philosophy. It seems, to judge from the argument, that the wisdom which we desire and upon which we profess to have set our hearts will be attainable only when we are dead. It seems that so long as we are alive, they shall continue closest to knowledge if we avoid as much as we can all contact and association with the body except when they are absolutely necessary, and instead of allowing ourselves to become infected with its nature, purify ourselves from it until God Himself give us deliverance. Hamilton Kane 61. Plato viewed the body as a source of distraction in intellectual life that must be eradicated in the practice of philosophy. Separation of the mind and body and the hierarchical ordering of mind over body haunt the history of Western philosophy accounts of knowledge from Plato, Aristotle, and Augustine through Descartes and Kant. For example, in early Christian writings, bodily sensations and desires were revealed in contest against a higher form of truth, or closeness to God. As Saint Augustine wrote in the 5th century, more and more, O Lord, you will increase your gift in me, so that my soul may follow me to you, freed from the concupiscence which binds and rebel no more against itself. Augustine fixes the body as a source of sin, weakness, and the measure against which the strength of his will toward God is knowable. In 17th century, René Descartes' struggle with a purely material body and a perfectly insubstantial mind led him to propose that the body is in fact an idea in the mind. Descartes 85. The body materiality, along with other objects that are impresses upon body substance, is a literalization of this idea in our conscience, in our experience. When we pay attention to it, the body materializes and we become aware of the body as an object. However, as our attention centers on other things, or on through itself, and on thought itself, the body disappears. Mental phenomena, according to Descartes, have no place in the quantifiable world of physics, but have a completely autonomous status. I am a substance, the whole nature or essence of which is to think, and which for its existence does not need any place or depend on any material thing. Descartes discusses part 4. Descartes distinguishes then between physical substance, res extensa, which can be measured and divided, and thinking substance, the res cogitans, which are unextended and indivisible. The human body, including the brain and nervous systems, belong to the first group, whereas the mind, include all thoughts, desires, and volitions, belongs to the second.